both games draw heavily from the realm of D&D, but they differ in their settings. Solasta unfolds in its own world, named, well, Solasta. On the other hand, Baldur's Gate 3 takes place in the world of D&D, specifically on the continent of Faerun, centered around the city of Baldur's Gate.
Faerun?
This means that Baldur's Gate 3 offers an abundance of background and lore. The characters you encounter and places you explore are not just unique to the game. Many of them are well-established entities from previous games and books in the D&D universe. Which, by the way, does not mean that you need to be well-versed in all this lore at all. It just will enhance your experience, as you will be encountering familiar faces and going, "Oh, this guy was my companion in Baldur's Gate 2. On the contrary, Solasta's world is entirely original, crafted solely for the game, with no previous lore to draw from. As far as I can say, each character and location you encounter is unique and fresh, which makes the world feel less extensive, but theoretically easier to get into. The game starts with our party of adventurers picked to be the deputies of the council. I really appreciated the grounded feeling it gave. You aren't some chosen heroes born to save the world, nor are you bestowed with godly powers. You are just a bunch of travelers that happen to become deputies together. And first assignments are fitting too, like one of the military outposts has gone silent, so council sends you to check up on it. Though this grounded atmosphere doesn't last long. After a few hours into the game, you will uncover the existence of evil magical shape-shifting lizards called Soraks. These creatures, once believed to be mere legends, are real and hell-bent on repeating a catastrophic event from 1,000 years ago to take over the world. And then you stumble upon an ancient artifact that could be the key to stopping them, the crown of the Magister. This crown binds itself to one of your characters, akin to something out of Lord of the Rings.
Just get rid of it. No, we need it.
Need it? For what?
For its power. I can feel it deep inside.
So before you know it, the once modest story of 4 deputies transforms into a grandiose adventure to save the world from an evil race of magical shape-shifting lizards. I can't say it's a bad idea for a story, but I have to admit I felt a bit let down. I enjoyed the initial grounded narrative, and the sudden shift to a world-saving quest caught me off guard. But I have to say that I really enjoyed the inclusion of Soraks in the game. Having an enemy that can shapeshift into anyone and take over their lives adds intrigue and mystery. You're constantly left wondering who might be a Sorak and who's just a jerk. The writers cleverly played with this idea, making me even paranoid at times. Towards the end of the game, I found myself suspecting almost every third character around me to be a potential Sorak.
You keep bickering instead of looking for the traitor among you.
When it comes to character development and personal stories, don't expect much from Solasta. Given that all the characters are created by players and lack pre-established backstories, it's not surprising that they don't undergo significant growth throughout the plot. At best, you might encounter a single 30-minute quest related to the background you chose. For example, the Aristocrats quest involves receiving an inheritance and deciding how to distribute it among your relatives. It's a small and fitting narrative, but nothing overly remarkable. Unfortunately, not all backgrounds even have such quests, and might offer nothing at all in terms of personal stories. As for the Crown of the Magister, it kicks off an Infinity War-like quest chain. It sends you on a journey around the world seeking out magical gems to power the crown. The hope is that collecting all 8 of these gems will enable you to stop Soraks and prevent the end of the world.
The crown wants the other gems back.
What?
I think I can find them. I can feel them.
Each gem comes with its own story and challenges. For instance, one of the gems is held by one of the most powerful necromancers in the world. And this is what you do basically for the entire game. Go from location to location in hopes of finding another gem. Next, I want to talk about what happens at the end of the game. So skip to here if you don't want spoilers. The ending of the story left me feeling a bit bewildered. Everything started happening out of nowhere, and the narrative felt quite crumbled.
It can't end like this.
After collecting 5 gems, you suddenly get attacked by Soraks, which leads to the council just taking the crown from you. This is especially weird because the crown is magically attuned to your character, and they couldn't take it off, which was established by the council at the start of the story.
They believe you're attuned to the crown, that you can't be separated from it. What? So it is cursed?
They're not sure. All these big brains, and they're stumped. They cast spells on the crown. On you.
And now they just take it without any proper explanation.
We'll help you with the attunement issue.
Then, out of the blue, we receive a random quest to investigate some Soraks. While we were gone for around 3 in-game days, the whole city is different. Some random war is coming and the whole population of the city is being conscripted and actively in preparation for said war. At this time, Soraks obviously steals the crown from the council.
It's gone!
And the princess of the nation revealed herself to be a powerful dragon with the ability to control time. Then we travel through a bunch of different dimensions, fight spiders, Soraks, ghosts and elementals, jump across floating islands and walk on walls. And finally catching up to Soraks. If it seems like I'm rapidly unloading a plethora of information without providing much context or missing crucial details, you are correct. This is precisely how the game feels. All these events unfolded within the last 3 hours of the 45-hour-long game, and they seemed disconnected from the previous 42 hours of gameplay. It all happens suddenly without a smooth build-up or reasonable progression. After all this, there is of course the final battle. The final battle that lacks the grand confrontation. The final battle that does not even have a BBEG to oppose. Instead, you just fight a lot of Soraks at once. The exact same ones you fought throughout the whole game, just a lot of them. After the initial fight, a ghostly figure emerges from the crown and requests you to hold on for 4 turns, so that he could stop the Soraks. Upon achieving this, the ghost figure transforms into a ghost dragon and hits you with
I was right about you. I must go now. Take care of Solasta. Take care of your world.
And this is it. These 3 lines mark the conclusion of the whole game.
It can't end like this.
Honestly, I can't make sense of what happened or why it unfolded this way. The ending felt rushed, out of nowhere and lacked proper coherence. You don't even get the satisfaction of completing the crown, which was the main objective throughout the entire game. It's surprising that a 45-hour-long D&D-inspired story lacks a final boss fight, something you'd expect in any RPG. The whole story of the game is not great, but the conclusion feels just utterly disappointing. Should I even try to compare this to Baldur's Gate 3? Comparing these aspects feels almost unfair, because the difference is night and day. Baldur's Gate 3 excels in storytelling and world building, with a much more extensive and well thought out narrative. The game is filled with captivating stories and interactions. All these characters feel alive, and each of their stories is interesting to follow. The world responds to your actions, providing thousands of permutations based on your choices. Your companions in Baldur's Gate 3 have their own intriguing backstories, secrets, motivations and connections, and they grow and change according to your actions. The storyline of any of the companions is much more compelling and interesting than the whole plot of Solasta.
And for the first time in a decade, there are people I care about all around me. Let me enjoy that. Please.
It is not ideal and has its problems, but in the end, the plot and world-building comparison between the two games is hardly warranted. These are undeniably the weakest aspects of Solasta, Crown of the Magister.
Yeah, of course you are.